Hello everyone, welcome to Brainbox Notion. In today's video, we're diving into PlanSwift tips and tricks that will take your estimating and takeoff processes to the next level. We'll be going through a complete takeoff from start to finish, showing you every step so you can follow along and apply these techniques to your own project, from setup to final quantities. I'll walk you through each phase, sharing advanced tricks, shortcuts, and strategies to help you save time and avoid common pitfalls. Plus, I will show you how to work with minimal drawings even if you only have a floor plan. You can still complete your takeoff with confidence. So do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more tips on quantity surveying software and expert tutorials. So let's dive in. We'll start by opening our PlanSwift. We're going to use PlanSwift 11 for this tutorial. So this is our PlanSwift. I already have an existing work. So we are going to create a new work now. So you go to new, the job/codes, we change it to 2024. The description is we are going to take off for a proposed data center. So we'll call it proposed data center. So if you want to add any notes on it, so I'll leave that blank and then click next. So here is our folder. So we have the architectural drawing, we have the MIE, we have the structural drawing. So I'm just going to click the whole folder and then click next. So I will change this to, you can either use 16 color, 356 color, or true color. So let me just use true color and then click next and then finish and allow it to load. So here we are. This is the cover page for the architectural drawing. So I'm not going to show you the complete cover page. This is confidential. So this is the architectural drawing. This is the MIE. So here we are. This is the structural drawing. As you can see, if this is your first time using PlanSwift, you can go through our previous video on guide on how to take off. So let's go through the drawings and see. So the first thing to do now is to study the drawing first. So let's start with the architectural drawing. So this is the site plan. As you can see, we have some existing buildings. This is an existing building. And also this is an existing building. This is also an existing building. And this is also an existing building. And this is proposed research/data center. So this is our project now, the proposed project now that we are going to work on. Then propose archive for staff office. We are not going to take off for this. This is the project we are going to work on. This one. So go to the next. This is the ground floor. As you can see, we have concrete sample collection. We have integrated laboratory. We have inquiry reception. And this is the entrance, equipment storage, and so on. You can go through it and check it. I will leave the link to download the drawing so that you can download it and follow through step by step. So as we work, I'm going to be showing you tips and tricks as we go on. So I think the video is going to be long. Hang on and follow as we go so that you don't miss any tips or tricks on how to save your time and optimize your takeoff. So the next, this is a blowout for the ground floor. And also this is also a blowout. And then this is the first floor. We have this test result analyst. We have the offices at the first floor. And this is training room. And then power room here. And we also have offices and research decks here. Post-processing data capture. So, and this is the circulation. So you have to study the drawing first before you start your takeoff. This is also a call out, blowout for the first floor. Another blowout. And this is the roof plan. And here we have the section. This is the details for the staircase. This is the front elevation, side elevation, rear elevation, side elevation. And this is the schedule for doors and windows and schedule for finishing. And also schedule for finishing for the first floor. So the next is our M&E. This is the legend, the site plan, and turn the page, rotate. Okay. So this is the external lighting for the site plan. This is the lighting point for both ground floor and the lighting for both ground floor and first floor. The lighting point. Turn this page too. This is the PowerPoint. This is the fire alarm system. This is also the fire alarm system diagram. This is the DB analysis. Also the DB analysis. This is the schematic diagram. And here we have the mechanical. This is the legend for the mechanical. The site plan for the mechanical, water supply layout. Also have the water supply layout for the site plan again. And this is the ground floor and first floor. Also waste drainage. This is the air conditioning layout for both ground floor and first floor. Okay, this is for the tank. So that's that for the M&E. So the next is the structural drawing. This is the note and information for the structural drawing. This is the foundation layout and the arrangement. You can see here, we have the depth to be 1.5. The columns, the column bases. You see we have a column in here too, C2, and then BT3. So let's go to the next drawing. So here is the base type details. We have base type 1, base type 2, and base type 3. 1 meter by 1 meter, 1 meter by 1.2, and 1.1 by 1.2. The next is the column types details. You have different type of column and their details. Yeah. We don't have any circular column here. I would like to show you how to take off for circular column, but you can still check out our video on PAL Foundation. So you'll be able to see how to work with circular columns there. So this is the slab and beams layout. Slab and beams layout. And this is the slab details to reinforcement. As you can see here, I will show you a trick on how to measure your reinforcement too. This is the roof beam layout. And then we have the beam details. Also have the beam details. And this is the staircase details too. So that's that. We have gone through our drawing. So we can proceed now with our takeoff. You know the details we have and some other information. So as we are going through, I'll be using the drawings to do the takeoff, and I will also show you how you can take off when you don't have a complete details. For example, in here we have a complete drawing, we have the complete architectural, complete MIE, and also a complete structural. So in the case whereby you have fully architectural drawing, and how can you measure your pit? How can you measure your column? How can you measure your reinforcement? And also, how can you measure your MIE? So as we are going through the takeoff, I'll be showing you how you can do it without a drawing and how you can do it with the drawing. So just take a seat, because it is going to be a long journey, but it will be worth it. For those who are equipped with the template, the Brainbox Expert system, so you just go to your template tab, and then this is where you find all the plugins here. But if you are not equipped with the template, it is not too late. You can check the link in the description and get your own copy and also the design for you to follow along. So we have pile foundation, we have raft, we have pile foundation, we have drywall, steel works, retaining walls, MEP, HVAC, and civil engineering works. So this is a building works, which is a commercial building, but it's still under building works. So we are going to use this building works template. We don't have a pile foundation, so we'll be using this, and then MEP, and then HVAC. So we are going to start with the substructure. So these are the items under substructure. We have the site clearance, topsoil, and so on. So let's start with the site plan. So this is the site plan. First thing to do is to scale your drawing. Although we have an existing buildings here, so our clearance is going to be along this area only. This area of the proposed building, not the whole site. So first scale the drawing. So click on scale. We have 82.2.565. Click OK. We'll also do a vertical scaling for more accuracy. Let's check 92. 92.304. Click OK. So we are done with the scaling for this. So we'll go under our template, site plan. This is the topsoil. So go with the site plan. So you can see site plan, I'll click OK. So under here now you can see that my recording mode is reading box here. or you can change it to point or box. But for this, I'm going to use box. So this is how you use the box. So I'm going to assume from this place is going to be where we are going to clear for our side plan. So I will take from this point to this point, because the other areas are existing buildings. So we are clearing from this point to this point, or then click stop. So this is a site plan and site clearance. So under it, we have topsoil excavation. So for you to use this topsoil excavation, you don't need to you don't need to pick again from the plugin area. So all you need to do is go back to your Takeoff summary. You can see you have your topsoil excavation beneath it. So you just click on topsoil. So in here now, I'm going to change my recording mode to box in order to pick the area of the building correctly. So I will change it in here, change it to point, and then pick. Now we have our topsoil and our site clearance. So we are done with this. We'll move to the next one, which is our trench excavation. And these are the sub items under trench excavation. So in here, you see we have bulk excavation, but in this case, we are not going with bulk excavation. We are going with the normal trench excavation. So go back to the drawing that will be more suitable for trench excavation is going to be your structural drawing. So that's the structural drawing. So we have pit excavation here. So first scale the drawing. This is okay. Let's use this to scale, which is 3.665. Click OK. From this point to this point. We'll also do a vertical, which is 4.885. 4.885. Click OK. And this and this. So we are done with the scaling. You can turn it off if it is covering any of the areas. You just click here to turn it off. So our page is scaled. We can start our trench excavation. So click here. So the depths, we've already checked the depths, but we can still confirm it. It is 1.2 and sorry, 1.5. You can see the depth is 1.5. But since this is trench excavation and here is our pit, so our trench excavation is going to be 1.5 minus this pit here, which is 400. So our trench excavation depth is going to be 1.1. So you click. The width is 0.9. You can leave it or change it to 0.7. I usually use 0.7. And then 1.1. And then click OK. So this is where our trend starts. Click here. We're going to be jumping the pits because we don't want to over measure. We are going to take the pit excavation separate. So the video is going to be no cut for you to see the whole step. Taking the trench is the only time consuming takeoff process, whereas not going to take much time like this. We're almost done. So that's that. Done with the trench excavation. So this is how you take off for your trench using the structural drawing. But in a situation whereby you don't have a structural drawing, you can also do this on your floor plan. So you can use this floor plan and take off for the trench excavation. Just same process, everything, you just go through it. We have to scale. Yes, this is 11.27. 1.27. Then click OK. We'll change this to 0.7. Then the depth to 1.1. Then click OK. So in here, you'll not be able to get it correctly because of the way this is 150 and 230 block. So what you need to do here is, instead of taking this point, you're going to leave a space like this. You see, you follow, take it. But in this case, whereby you don't have structural drawing, so you are going to take it completely. So when you take off for your pit excavation, then you deduct your pit excavation from the trench excavation, because you don't have any areas whereby you can identify where your columns are and where there's no column. So you take it as a whole. When you are done, then you deduct your pit excavation from this. So that's how you measure for trench excavation when you don't have a structural drawing. So I'm going to delete this. It's not part of our takeoff, just a sample, and delete. Yes. So this is gone. So the next item is our pit excavation. So now you know how to take off for trench excavation using structural drawing and when you don't have a structural drawing. So the next item is going to be our pit excavation. And so that's that for trench excavation. So before we move to pit excavation, as you can see, all the sub items that are generated automatic: backfilling, disposal, leveling and compacting, and the footing. So I think you can make adjustment within the footing area. If you double click, here we have the thickness to be 0.23. So if you want yours to be 200 or less than or more than 0.23, you can change that. But I'm going to leave mine as 0.23. Then click OK. Then we have earthwork support. So the next item is the pit excavation. So we are going to do the same thing. I will do the takeoff using the structural drawing, and I will also show you how to take off without a structural drawing. So go back. The plan we are going to use for this is still the same. This floor plan. In a situation whereby you are given the base type details numbers, you can just quickly take off from this point here. So I will show you that too also. So let's use what we have now before I will show you the other tips and tricks. So here we have the base type 1. So you can see, which in here we can see our base type 1 is 1 meter by 1 meter. So go back, click on pit, make it BT1. We have 1 meter, 1 meter, and our pit is 1.5, as we saw earlier, 1.5. So here you can see we have number of bays if specify. I will show you that later. So just click OK. 1, 2, this also BT1, 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 BT1. I think BT1 is the majority. I think that should be the end of BT1. No, we have another one here. Another one here. Let's check. Did we miss any? Yes, another one here. Another one here. So when you zoom out, it should be identifying the point for you so that you will be able to see if you miss any of the column. Okay, this is not BT1. No, this is also BT1. So I think that's all for BT1. I have 48 numbers. We'll click stop. So when you go back to your takeoff, you can see this is the number of BT1 we have, and this is the concrete in column base. This is the formwork, and this is the reinforcement. So before we proceed, but this, okay, let me just finish up this before I show you the tricks. As you can see for BT1, let's go to the drawing. The concrete base is 400 for BT1. So we'll go back to our takeoff summary, double click, and then put, we don't have 400. So we'll just type it 0.40. Then click OK. So you can see this is the concrete work and this is the formwork. So for the reinforcement, we have Y16, Y16, and the spacing is 250. Then we double click, move. So you can see here we have top and bottom, but we don't have top and bottom, we only have bottom. So the diameter is y16, the bar width for y16, the spacing 250. You see the total number is automatic. Then the vertical bends is 0.3, number, cover 0.23 by 2 side. So for more details, you can check our previous video that I explain all this. We double click. As you can see, this is our reinforcement in kg. So if you want it in ton, you can just divide it by 1000 to convert it to ton. So let's check the numbers. Let's see, five numbers. Five number. I think this is an error. It is supposed to be 5, since it is the same length. 1 meter, 1 meter. So we can see number of bars side A, 5 number, side B, 5 number. So this is an error. So in case wherever you have top and bottom, you just go here and then change it to 2 numbers. It will capture the bottom for you. Cancel. So this is how you take off using the drawing. That's if you don't have a this is how you take off using the drawing if the number of bays is not specified. So I will show you how to take off when you have the number of bays specified. So instead of counting, you can just go on and click. We say it is BT1. BT1A. Let me call it A since it is a sample. I'm going to delete it. And this length side A is 1. And this is also 1. And then this is 1.5. So, and there's a number of bays if specified. So assuming it is specified, now we know that our BT1 is 48 numbers. So assuming that 48 is specified here, so instead of counting, all you need to do is just edit this one to 48. And then click OK. And then click here once. That's it. So you can see the quantity. We have 72 numbers and also 72 numbers. So you just go back to your takeoff summary, put 0.40. You can see the same quantity. That's that. So this is how you take off when this is specified. So in the case whereby you don't have this and you don't have the complete structural drawing, so let me delete this. Deleting this. So we are going to be using the floor plan for this. Go back to this. So in here now, in the case whereby you don't have the structural drawing, you are going to use your experience and initiative to count the columns. So we are going to be assuming column at each of this angle. We will be having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how we are going to be counting the columns. But structure in the case whereby you don't have much experience on where the columns are, so you can check another structural drawing and then see how they structures the number of columns. Then you use that and then count. So we'll click, say BT1, and then 1, and then 1, and then 1.5. Good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm not going to count the whole columns. So I'll just show you how you can do it. This is how you count the pit excavation when you don't have a structural drawing. So just click stop and then go back and delete it. So that's that for BT1. So the next one is the BT2. Let's count BT2. BT2, which we said it is 1.1 or 1.2. 1 by 1.2, I think. We can change it later. 1.2 by 1.5. Click OK. BT2, we have one here. We have another one here. I think that's all for BT2. And then click stop. So let's confirm the size. It is okay, 1 meter by 1.1. I think we typed the correct figure. Yes, 1 meter by 1.1. We typed the correct figure. So that's that for BT2. We'll go back to takeoff summary, make the same adjustment, 0.40. Then click OK. The reinforcement too, the same. We have Y16 also. Y16, spacing 250. C number of base is 2. And then vertical, concrete cover by 2 side. Then click OK. So this is our reinforcement for BT2. So we have BT3, which is 1.1 by 1.2. So go back. Three. 1.1, 1.2, and then 1.5. Then click OK. We have one here, one here, one here, and then another one here. So that's all for BT3. Click stop. Go back to our takeoff summary. 0.4. Reinforcement, same Y16. Let's confirm. Y16. So that's that for pit excavation. Done with pit excavation, trench excavation, and site clearance and topsoil excavation. So we'll move to the next item, which is blockwork. So I'll be sharing the next tricks and tips for this blockwork. We have blockwork in foundation. But when you double click, okay, cancel. Let's go to a page where it is scaled. So this is what we are going to use for our blockwork in foundation. And we have already scaled this page. So in here now, you have blockwork in foundation. So when you double click to pick this blockwork in foundation, you can see you have your wall height and the width. And in here, you have your openings. you have your openings. But I'm not going to use this blockwork in foundation. The reason is I don't usually use this for my blockwork in foundation. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this for blockwork and foundation. The reason is after my blockwork in foundation, I'm still going to copy these details to also do my superstructure blockwork instead of repeating the same takeoff. So I'm going to use this to do my superstructure takeoff. So what I'm going to do here now is when you double click this, you can see that you have more options. You have doors, you have windows, and also openings. But using this, you only have access to openings. So after my takeoff for the blockwork and foundation, I can still use this and then remove doors and windows. But when I use that other one, I'm not going to have the access to edit the doors and windows. So what is the wall height and the wall thickness? We'll go to our section to confirm that. For the ground floor, you can see it is 3.3 for the ground floor. Then for this, it is 1.1 for the foundation. So go back, this is our blockwork. When I click, I'll edit this to blockwork in foundation. So I don't usually use that. Blockwork in foundation. And we said the wall height is 1.1 and the width is 230. Click OK. And see this is 150 mm block in the foundation. We're going to use 230. Then in the ground floor, we use 150. So all blockwork in foundation are 230. So we're not going to specify anything. We'll take it as a whole. And decide to remove that. And then use columns, but with this area is a column. So I'm going to remove this. Going to delete this. This is a column. I'm deleting this. So this is our blockwork and foundation. So the same applicable to ground floor blockwork. So instead of repeating this takeoff, I'm just going to copy this and then change the height and then remove areas like this where we have 150 and then replace them with 150. So I'm going to show you that when we get to blockwork in ground floor. But for now, this is the tricks. This is the trick that you can use for your blockwork in foundation. So we'll go back to our substructure. So we'll move to the next item, which is hardcore filling. So in here, we're going to take it room by room, or you can decide to take the whole area. So anyone. So we're going to take it room by room. Double click OK. Let me use the box for this room. Also use box for this. And use box for this. Also for this. So you can see, well, after your blockwork, you'll be able to accurately take your bed and some other things easily. You can see just highlighting the point for you. You also use box. I can't use box for this. I can use box for this. Also for this. Can use box for this. So okay, down here. From that area. Going to measure that too. Also here. So we don't have a block hook here, but we have a block hook here. We have a door. So I will change it to point now, and then take off with this. So that's that. And then click stop. So you can see this is our hardcore filling, and under this hardcore filling we have laterite and we have leveling and compacting. So we'll go to Takeoff summary. You can see we have our laterite. We double click, we'll click the thickness. I'm going to use 0.6 because we have at least 3 steps here. You can see the steps 1, 2, 3. So I'm going with 0.60. Click OK. 0.60. Click OK. So you can see this is our laterite. This is our leveling and compacting. We're going to compact the area. So you can see we missed a block hook here. So all you need to do is just go to your block hook, you click, and then you add it to your takeoff. And then click stop. So we are done with it. So let's check what's the next item. Next item is the bed, which is the same thing we just did here. So mostly I don't usually check the bed, but for the sake of this tutorial, let's take it together. For the sake of this tutorial, let's take it together. The reason why I don't check the concrete embed is that the same area that you are going to have your leveling and compacting is still the same area that you'll be having your bed. But the only difference is because I took this time around, I took the leveling and compacting to be room by room, while our bed is going to be the whole area. So in this case, you are going to take your bed separate because the bed is going to cover even the blockwork areas, which you are going to do your setting out again after your bed. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the whole area for this, see the thickness, and then click OK. We're in a place whereby I take this is our bed. And we have some sub items under it, the DPM, BLC mesh, and the formwork. So in a case whereby you take your hardcore filling, as whereby you take the whole area as your hardcore filling, so you don't need to take off for your bed. So this is the tips and tricks number 3. The next item to measure is the concrete. The next item to measure is the steps and ramps. So we don't have a ramp, so we are going to take the steps. So when you zoom in here, this is where you have your steps. You click. So if you don't know how to take off a step, this is how you do it. Or you can check our previous video. No, I'm not going to be using the point. I'm going to be using the box. Just faster. The first one. Take the second one. Then we check the last one. Same thing here. Okay, we have a ramp. So that's good. We're going to use the ramp too. First one. Second one. See, do we have another step? Yes. Step. Second step. The third step. Have another one. First step. Second step. And the third step. Have any other step? I think that's all for the steps. Click stop. Then we take off for the ramp. So in our blockwork height, we use our filling. We use 600, but for our ramp, this is 0.46. You can change it to 600 or leave it like this. But in this case, I'm going to use 600 because the 600 is going to be the blockwork that is coming out from the foundation after the filling. From the base, from the natural level to the DPC is the 600. So I'm going to use 600 because the ramp is also going to capture that. So I'll just take the whole area. So the template will do the other magic for you. You don't need to worry. We all know that the ramp is not a square. It is slanty, so don't worry. We will also capture that in the plugin. So just take the area. Template will do the magic for you. Don't worry about the calculation. So that's that. We have our hardcore. We have our bed. We have our steps. And we also have our ramp. So the next item is the column starter. So for the column starter, I'm going to show you a trick on how to measure for the column starter when you don't have a structural drawing. So we are going to use this drawing for the column starter. I also show you how to measure it without a drawing. So this column 1, column 7, column 3, 4, column 5, column 2, column 6. So we are going to measure for all these columns. So, but in this drawing, we have a little issue, which is not an issue, because usually the columns, they usually specify the numbers here. So, but you can see in here, I think the structural engineer is kind of, should I say, lazy to give the details. So let me show you a quick way on how to get the number of columns here, because you already have your pit excavation. So you can see all you need to do is check. Okay. I think we're going to have a little bit issue. Okay. So let's start with column 1. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So we have 21 numbers of C1. So we'll go back to our plan. This is it. So the first thing to do is to scale. We'll scale the page 1.2. Click OK. We have scaled our page. So this C1, we have 21 numbers. So you click, and this size is 230 by 230. You click number of column, say 29, 230, 230. Click OK, and then take off. Click top. So the next column is C7. So for C7, we have 1, so we only have one C7. And let's check if it's the same size with the, we have only one C7, and it is only have one C7, only have one C7, and also I think this C7 is this, it's still the same size with the column 1. So instead of measuring, you can just say E1 and C7. Then we'll make it 30 numbers. So you can see, make it 30 numbers. And in here now, you can see we have some errors in the drawing, which you can see they're specifying 5 numbers here and then 4 numbers here, while in this section it is showing 4 numbers. So I think this is an error. Just go with 4 number. But you can decide to measure it and then make this one to be 5 number and then make this one to be 4 number. But me, I will assume it is an error and then go with 4 number all through. So this is C3 and this is C4. So if you can see in here in the drawing, there's a little bit difference, which this is showing you that this C3 and C4, we don't have it at the foundation level. We only have it at the first floor. So we are going to skip this because we are creating column starter, not the general column itself. So we'll move to the next one, which is C5. This is C5, and it is 330 by 230, and it is 8 numbers, as you can see here. So we'll go back to our drawing. Let's check how many C5 do we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we have 24 numbers of C5. So click to C5, 24 numbers. We set the weight to be 0.53 by 230. Click OK. Then measure. So then click OK. So I will show you another trick. You can see we are measuring the column starter, but we are going to use this same information in order to measure the column, the normal column. Instead of using this, we can also use this to measure the columns. So I'll show you that when we get there. So the next thing now is C2. So let's check C2. How many numbers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 numbers of C2. So you can also, okay, the C2 it has a different weight. So click more numbers, 0.3, 0.3 by 0.3. Then click OK. We have our C3. Then click stop. So the next is C6. We really have the C6. Yes, I think we have 1 or 2. C6. I think I saw 1. Yes. This is another C. This is the C6. So I think we only have 1 number of C6. Go back and click C6. 1 number. And it is 150 by 150. Wow. 0.15 by 0.15. And click stop. So that's that for column starter. So we have the sub items under each of this column. which we need to measure, which is we have the reinforcement. Formwork is measured automatic. So we'll go through the reinforcement together. Let's start with C1, which we have, it is Y16, and there are 4 numbers. So if you check my previous video, I showed you how you can measure this length and this by taking it using the dimension, measuring it using this, as you can see. But I don't usually measure it, so I'm not going to measure it in this video. I will just assume the length and see we have this to be 0.16, and then let's measure this. See, so in here now, everything, if you sum it up, it is going to give you about 0.45, and the top projection is mostly 700, and I don't usually measure it again, so I usually assume 700 for this, and then 450 for this, or 350 depending on the type of column. So I will just start my reinforcement, change it to form. If you can see, this is Y16. We have this, the number of bars is 4, projection usually 700, 0.70, and then the bends, I usually use this for the bend. And click OK. Then the syrups, you have Y8, 7 number of Y8, and the spacing is 200. So we have Y8, spacing 200, deduct cover, and then add hook, which is 0.15. Usually 0.15. I usually use 0.15 for the hook. Then click OK. Then column data for C5. Let's go and check how many numbers of C5 do we have. 8 numbers. Also Y16. We'll click, change it to form. Y16. Number of straight bars, 8 numbers. Projection 0.7. The bends 600. And click OK. Same with Y8. This spacing 200. Cover, and then hook. Click OK. The next is what okay, the next one is C2. Let me edit this. C2 and click OK. It's also Y16. As you can see, we have 4 numbers, but they are specified 5 numbers at the columns data. So we'll maintain this and go with the 5 numbers. Say Y16 0.17, 5 numbers. We don't have 5. We'll write it. Projection 0.70. This, then click OK. Europe, the same thing. Same Y8. This spacing 200. Cover and the hook. Then click OK. The next is the column again. Change it to form. same way 16. More numbers. Projection 0.70. 100 and then click OK. This is the same thing. By 8. This. This. So that's that. We are done with our columns data, both formwork and reinforcement and concrete work. And close them. Close all this. So you can see this is our concrete work. So when you're using integration, you can capture all this at once. If you're using integration, maybe I will show you that too at the end of the video, how you can capture all your quantities when you have your separate quantities, how you can capture them at once. Like for example, in this base type 2, we have 3 different quantities. So I will show you how to capture them when using Excel integration with PlanSwift. So the next item is ground beam. So we don't have any ground beam. We are going to skip that. But if you don't know how to measure for ground beam, you can check out our videos. You can see how to measure for ground beam. So we are done. It's substructure basically. So we'll be moving to superstructure. So here we are, a superstructure, concrete work and finishing. So we are going to start with the concrete work. Under concrete work, the first item is the lintel. So let's go back to architectural plan to do our takeoff for lintel. So because of this, you can turn this off in order to see your plan clearly. I'm going to turn them off using this bob icon. So you can see they are gone, but I still have my quantities here. So for the lintel, the external lintel, I'm going to assume a ring lintel for the external, and then we'll measure the internal. So I'll show you a trick how you can capture all your lintel using one click. So instead of this is the ground floor, and this is the first floor. So instead of having your lintel to be like this, whereby you have 2 separate quantities, I will show you a trick on how you can get everything just in one area. So let's go back to the ground floor, click, specify 0.23, 0.23, and then the extension 0.6, and then click OK. So we'll just take this. So that's that. We have our lintel. Click stop. So the next one is the internal lintels, just this. So go back. Sorry. Continue. So take this. We'll take this. Take this. We'll take this. Also take this. This. So that's that. We are done with the lintel for the ground floor. So Normally, people usually, after taking the ground floor, you go back to your first floor and also click the template, which when you do this, you are going to have double quantity for the lintel. So instead of doing this, you can just go to the first floor. After going to the first floor, then you switch to takeoff. So when you switch to takeoff, you'll be able to continue your takeoff in another plan, in another different page. So this is how you do it. So this page is not scaled. So we are going to scale this page before we proceed. 44, 44.02. Click OK. So we have the vertical scaling to be 11 point. One is okay. You can decide to use only one, but I prefer you scaling both sides. So we have scaled our page. So the next thing, we are also going to assume a round lintel for the first floor. Then we take the internal. So click here in order to continue. You can see it gives me the ability to continue my takeoff in another different page instead of taking another concrete lintel from the template tab, template area. I'll take this to this point. So this is the round lintel for the external. Then the internal, take it door by door. Well, this is not a blockwork, so leave this. I have another lintel here. So that's that for the lintel. So we'll click stop. As you can see, the quantity now has increased to 13.5. Well, let me show you something. You see, we have only one quantity here, but when you go back to your bookmark, you can see you have two quantities. You have two quantities, which is you have 6.6 cubic meter for ground floor and then 6.9 cubic meter for the first floor. So let's check the ground floor. Did we omit anything? We don't have any omission. Yes, we don't have any omission. So you can see the slight difference between the ground floor and the first floor. So in here you have two quantities, while you have your general quantity here. And when you are doing your integration with Excel, the measure area that you are going to use when transferring your quantities is this takeoff summary area. So you'll be able to move your quantities easily. So we are done with the lintel and also this. So the next item to measure is the concrete in column. So for this, let's go back. Concrete work. So yeah. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, that I'm going to show you how to take off for your column in case you don't have a structural drawing. So for that, let me show you how you can do that. So for example, let's say this is what? This is C1. So let me go to let's assume you only have a floor plan, maybe a single floor. So what you need to do is when you click here, let's assume the width to be 0.23, 0.23, and the number of columns to be, we have 30 for C1. So let's assume 30. You have 30 columns, you have counted your columns, and you have got the number, it is 30 numbers. And you click, then in here now, within this area, anywhere within this area, you can just go, and you have to assume the height, or maybe check from your drawing, which is the section, and get the height. So let's assume the height to be 3.3 in this drawing. Let's assume the height to be 3.3, and you want to measure your columns, and you don't have a structural drawing. So all you need to do is to just go anywhere within this area and then click. You measure using this number here. You can see this is 3.3 point. Depending on how you want it to be accurate, you can just decide to leave it at this point and click OK. So, and click stop. So this is how you measure for your concrete work when you don't have a structural drawing. So in here you can see we have 0.2, in here you can see we have 5.3 to be our concrete. So assuming we have a structural drawing, let's go and measure and see the difference. Go back. We'll go back to our structural drawing. So this is it. This is a column, but we have different height. This is 3.15. So I don't think we are going to have a correct figure, but let's try and see. Measure C1. See C1. The thickness is 0.3. And we know the number already. It's 30 numbers. 30. Click OK. And then measure from this point to this point. This is a slab. So it stops here. And then click stop. So this is your C1, but because we have C1, 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 so in order to differentiate this, we can call it C1 SP, which is superstructure, and then click OK. So this C1 captures also C7, like we said earlier. It is going to be C1 and C7 SP, which is superstructure. Then click OK. So for this C1, you can see we have it in. We have another one here. You can see it here. We have another one here for this C1. So what you need to do here is, instead of finishing the whole thing, you can just drag this up to this point, or you can measure it again. So both ways is fine. You can include this or measure it again. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's measure it to avoid over measurement, and click this. And then we are done with C1 completely now. So for this, we don't need this. We are going to delete it. Just a sample on how you can measure your columns without a floor plan. A structural drawing. We'll delete this and we'll leave this. For the reinforcement and the links, the same process. Okay. So the next one is we have measured this. Okay, we have C3 now, which we are going to measure. So we click is 0.23, 0.23. How many numbers of C3 do we have? This one number, because we don't have it anywhere in our ground floor, so it is one number, C3. Then click OK. Measure. Same thing with C4. So you can do this, since you can see we have C4, C3, and C4 to be the same thing, and the reinforcement. You can see here we have Y16, Y12, sorry, and here we have Y16. So in a case like this cannot go. So we are going to delete this. You can see when we remove it, the quantity is going to change. You see? So we are removing this. We have to measure it again. So in here we have, or we can do it this way. Let me show you a trick. Let's bring this back. Since we have this reinforcement, and this reinforcement will be 2. So what we need to do is, let's measure first. When we get to the reinforcement, I will show you how to do it. So, and again, in here we have C3, C4 to be the same length, the same reinforcement type, and the same number. So instead of measuring this, we can just do this C2 by 2. Change this number to 2. And then click OK. So these are some of the tricks you use to save your time in having duplicate measurement and some other stuff like it. We have an error. We can't measure this by 2 because the size is not the same. We have to put 1. Click OK. Go back here. We have to measure it. But in the reinforcement, we can do some tricks. It's 150. Then click OK. So the next thing to measure is C5. And we said our C5 is how many number? 24 numbers. So go back. So this is C3. Okay, we don't have any C3, but we can still specify SP. This is also SP. And then click OK. So for C5, you can see we have the top to be Y12, and the first floor, the ground floor to be Y16. So we can't apply the same method for this and this with this in the reinforcement area, because in here now we have 8 numbers, and here we have 4 numbers, so it can't go. But since we have 4 numbers, and 4 numbers here, so this will work. So the next thing is go back, measure this, click OK, height is 0.53, thickness by 0.3 by 24 numbers. Then click OK. Click stop. So in order not to confuse you the more, I think for this tutorial, for this Reinforcement, let's just measure it normal. So I'm going to delete this and then remeasure it. To 0.2323, and it is C1 A SP. And we say our C1 is 18 numbers, so 29 numbers. Then click OK, and then measure. That's that. So for this, we're still going to measure this one separate. So this, zero point this, 0 point this. So the trick number 7 that I'm going to show you here is, instead of remeasuring everything, since it is the same area, the same quantity, you can just copy it and paste it. Let me show you an example. Okay, let me rename this C5 SP, then click OK. So for this, I can just copy and then paste. Do you want to copy the digitalization point? You say no. So you can see I have all the details here. So I'll just click and then go back here. And then measure. But all information are the same. So I can call it C1 T5 ASP. And then click OK. So this is another trick that you can use to remeasure items with the same details instead of retyping the details again. So in here we have, and then C2, go C2, the weight is 300, 0.3 by 0.3 by how many numbers? We have 4 numbers. Click OK, measure. You can go back to the other drawing, the other setter, and confirm the details, but I think it is 4 numbers. Let's confirm. Yes, 4 numbers. So the last one for concrete in columns, C6 SP, which is superstructure, and the thickness is 0.15 by 0.15 by how many numbers? I think we have only 1 number of this. Click OK, then measure. So this is our columns. Let's close this. We are done with this. No. Done with this. Done with this. Okay, we are left with these ones here. So we are done with measuring the columns. So the next thing we need to measure is the reinforcement. So we'll go back to okay, we're already at there. So for the reinforcement, we have here, we have Y16. So double click, change it to form. We have Y16, 16, projection 700, 0.70, number of pass to be 4. The lapping 0.6, number of lapping, we have only one lapping. Right? Click OK. So for the links, Y8, spacing 200, hover the hook, then click OK. So we are done with C1 and C7 SP. So the next one, we have another C1 ASP, which is the one with the one with Y16, Y12, sorry. So go back, double click Y12, 0.8, projection. We don't have a projection here. Leave it empty. Then number of bars 4, the lapping 0.6, number of lapping is 1, and then click OK. Then the stirrups, the same thing. We have Y8, 200 spacing, cover, hook. So we are done with this. So the next is the C3. So the C3, the same Y12. Y12. This no projection, number of bars 4, no lapping. Okay, we have one lapping, but this lapping has already been captured in the previous work. So leave it blank and then click OK. Stirrup. This spacing, this, and then this. Click OK. And the next is the C4. C4 is also the same thing. Double click 12. Wait. 12. We have projection, no lapping. Number of straight bars is 4. Then click OK. Stirrups, the same thing. We have C5. Start with this. Choose the Y8, Y16. Projection. This for this. Europe's Y12, no projection, no lapping. Click OK. Number of straight bars, 8. C2, Y16, no projection, lapping. So that's that. We're done with columns. I've also show you how to take off for the columns where you have um, where you don't have a structural drawing. Tips. I've also showed you a trick on how you can take off for columns when you don't have a structural drawing. So the next item is the roof beam. So go back. We can use D in a situation whereby you don't have uh, structural drawing. So the trick that you can use in order to measure your roof beam is the first floor plan. You can use the first floor plan to take off for your roof beam. But since we have a structural drawing, I will go to my roof beam details. You can see this is our roof beam details layout. So I'll scale the pitch and then measure for the roof beam. $4 meters. So I've already scaled the pitch. So just go here, click 0.23. We'll go back and confirm the thickness for the roof beam. But let's use 0.23. Okay, it is 0.23 by 300. So I'll change that later. So that's that for the roof beam. Okay, we have another area here. That's that for the roof beam. You click stop and then you measure the reinforcements. You use Y12 for this. You can go and check the details. Fence, fence. Don't click OK. Y8. Then click OK. So we are done with the roof beam. Go back. So the next item is concrete fascia, and we don't have a concrete fascia. Yeah, we have a parapet wall. And the next is the suspended floor slab. So for the suspended floor slab, you can measure it both with the structural drawing and the both with the structural drawing and the architectural drawing. But I'm going to use the structural drawing to measure it. Is this a void? We have a void here. You can see there's no reinforcement. So is this definitely a void? So we're going to use this. We have to scale it first. We have scaled it. Can turn this off and then measure for the slab. Thickness. Measure everything and then deduct the void. So we're done. So deduct the void and then the staircase area. So that's that. Click stop. So this is our quantity, which is 59.6, 59.9 for the suspended slab. So the next item now to measure is the beam. So for the beam and other items, we are going to measure them in our part 2 video. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out the next video on this. So goodbye.